So Stas, you moved to Warsaw. Is that true?
Yes, that's true. Absolutely correct.
And why did you decide to move to Warsaw after living in Krakow for 9 years?
Here's the situation, guys. I lived in Poland for 9 years. And all of those 9 years I lived in Krakow. In 2020, before the pandemic, I wanted to move to Warsaw, but the pandemic started, and there was a moment during the pandemic when it was even difficult to go outside, really. So everything got delayed. Then the full-scale invasion began, which also delayed the whole process, and here I am today. Why did I decide to move? Warsaw. More opportunities, more events, more communities of our entrepreneurs. In general, clients often fly to Warsaw. Just yesterday, we met with a client. He flew from China to Chopin Airport in Warsaw because of convenient connections. Well, something like that, okay.
And what is your first impression of the city, not as a tourist or a visitor, but as a local resident?
The impression is great. I have a professional bias because for 6 months I traveled from Krakow to Warsaw every 2 weeks. And yet there is still a difference between when you come here to visit and when you actually live here. What I can say is, first, there are a lot of different events and activities. For me, this is important right now. I'm sure that in a year I won't be as enthusiastic. But right now it's important, it's interesting. In Krakow there are far fewer interesting, cool, creative people. So the first impression is a lot of people. Secondly, a lot of people, friends, some kind of social circle. Thirdly, a lot of money. That is, if in Warsaw, if in Krakow you see a cool car, some kind of, I don't know, a Lamborghini, then there's a 90% chance it's someone from Ukraine. But here, when you see a Lamborghini, most often it's, let's say, a Lambo with Polish plates. Well, let's say we're discussing Lamborghinis. Well, God willing, we all get to the point where we can buy one. But in general, cars, how people are dressed, how much people spend in restaurants, it all speaks about the hustle, about money. As you said, you need to live where the money lives. That's why there are more of them here. Yes, there's more competition, we can discuss the downsides, but also...
Let's talk about money.
Sure, is living in Warsaw more expensive or cheaper than in Krakow? It's more expensive. Firstly, it's more expensive. Noticeably so? No matter what anyone tells you on the internet, it's more expensive. Is it noticeable? You know, there are more places and ways to spend money here. Definitely. I mean, there are cool events, you know, restaurants and everything else. So let's talk, for example, about kindergartens. I recently met with an acquaintance, a Belarusian, and he said, I have very high expenses. So I said, okay, what kind? How much do you pay for your child's kindergarten? I said, probably 1,000 zlotys a month. He was like, no. I said, 1.5? No. I was like, okay, how much? He said 2.5, or 2,800 zlotys. I don't remember exactly. Well, in short, it's 2,500 zlotys. Like I said, for an apartment in the crater, like for an apartment in Krakow, yeah. I said, what's going on there? They give Thai massages to the little kids. They lay them down and give them Thai massages. Dances. He says, well, super cool conditions. Every other day they take them somewhere, all inclusive. There's food. He says a unique feature, you can sleep, meaning you can leave your child there and they sleep right there in the kindergarten, in the preschool. I don't know if it's worth the money, but all these aspects are more expensive than in Krakow, simply because here you can find a slightly higher level of service or product. In terms of housing, I would say that it is 10% more expensive, but due to the huge assortment, the huge choice of housing, you can find a suitable design for yourself.
You can find something 10% more expensive or even 300%, right?
And even 10% cheaper. But the question is, like in Krakow, for example, or in Wrocław, when you live there, you're like, damn, 15 minutes to the center, well, that's already on the outskirts, right? Here, 15 minutes to the center means you're still living somewhere in the center. That's where the difference might be. And yes, distances, well, they do matter.
Regarding distances, as a former resident of Krakow, I understand that you can really get around Krakow from one end to the other in an hour if there are no traffic jams, which is very convenient. How much does it bother pressure or not? How much of a problem is this huge city? Remember, we looked at how it can take an hour or an hour and a half to get from one location to another within the city. How much of a problem is that?
Here, I need to make a correction. I don't know because I live in the center. If you're interested in me talking about the place where I specifically live, yes, in Warsaw, explained what the payments are like, how we searched for an apartment and so on, put a plus sign. In the comments I will share my experience because, well, in Warsaw it's like this. I've been living in Poland for 9 years, but even it was difficult for me to figure it out. In short, even I realized that real estate agents are sometimes necessary. Before this I was also a bit skeptical, but now I understand that, damn, even I'm interested.
So you already have artists, those...
Plus, in terms of the question. But I don't know. I haven't traveled much yet. And how is it with communication in general?
But in general, you travel uniquely to the studio, right? There for meetings, some tactics with the metro, buses with communication. That's how I live.
In the center, the area is called Volia. And here, in general, I either walk or at most take a taxi. A taxi costs around 13 zlotys, 15, 20 zlotys. If I need to go to IKEA or Auchan, well, yes, probably I'll pay around 30 zlotys one way, 25 the other. That's all. That's a communication. I've also traveled by metro without any problems. 10 minutes to the metro and you can get anywhere. Here, I think it's not like in Kiev. You can travel from one station to the terminal on the metro in just an hour. So there's much less metro here. All transport runs on schedule in general, so, well, it's okay. Of course, if it's rush hour, then it's crowded.
Tell me about the people. How different are the people here? After all, Krakow, as someone we know said, it's very convenient to grow old there. After all, it's calm, no one is in a hurry, unlike the people of Warsaw. Warsaw residents, as opposed to those from relatively small towns, differ in that they quickly close the distance.
Well, like in any capital, there's no time for preliminaries. For example, the management, that rented us this apartment. There was a Polish girl and she was very laid back. Like, guys, what do you need? It's, okay, we'll do everything. I don't have time to talk now. I'll talk to you tomorrow. So people are so used to maintaining their boundaries, and while no one is being rude, they also don't let you be rude. And they close the distance so quickly, which is in principle, well, it's cool. It's unusual. The last time I felt this way was probably when I lived in Kiev. And that was, guys, 9 years ago. What else about people? Well, different people. So you can see that there are those who work there just as employees, there are students, there are those who find it hard, those who find it very easy, rich, poor, smart, beautiful, well, a lot of diverse audiences.
Okay, good.
I was talking about both the Polish and our people.
Yes, yes. It's interesting about our community. Have they assimilated in the same way? Are they just as sharp and urban?
You know what's funny here? You really walk down the street, if it's a popular place, you're served by Ukrainians, you're a Ukrainian ordering, and there are Belarusians nearby, standing and chatting. So I don't know if it's just how the brain works, hearing it, or if there really are a lot of them. So in Warsaw, there really are a lot of our people.
Especially in the center.
Especially in the center, yes.
Okay.
In this regard, there's a downside, of course, because a bunch of theme guys, cryptocurrency people, info businessmen, bloggers, and all the rest have arrived.
It's harder to find solid ones, right?
Well, firstly, it's harder to find solid people and not, to put it bluntly, bullshitters. Here, a little dolphin, let's put it. And secondly, some people behave inappropriately. That is, in Krakow, in Wrocław, everyone is somehow calmer. The city itself implies calmness. But here, people really speed in their cars. There's this kind of pomp and everything else. I'm not used to it. It's not very comfortable for me. In this society, but it's not a problem. No one forces you to meet or hug them. There is a society for every taste.
Okay, and tell us about the business itself. How do you see in Poland? Yes, our channel is about business in Poland.
And by the way, if you need help with registering a company or an individual entrepreneur in Poland, with accounting, or with business consultations in Poland, you can contact us. Below the video you will find all the necessary links. We will be happy to help you.
What do you think in general? Is a business in Warsaw different from a business in Krakow in any way? In terms of directions, conditions, complexity of management, and so on?
It differs in that there is more competition, but also a higher demand from more people. That is, if you start a project in a small town, roughly speaking, and it's lousy, then first of all, the reputation of the project will quickly spread, and it will be known as lousy throughout the whole town. Secondly, as it were, there is less competition, but also the demand and scaling are not the same. Here, you can easily open an average project, average cleaning services, average catering services, average goods business, and it can generally work, it can go. But in some niches, competition catches up and being average is no longer enough. I was talking to a Polish person in the real estate field, specifically about how it changed since the beginning of the full-scale invasion. How has the real estate market in Poland changed, particularly in Warsaw? So the Poles say that finally they are saying it, and they are, well, at least reaching this point, yes, realizing that yes, indeed, Ukrainians have significantly changed the market, the quality and service are improving, and here, opinions diverge. Radically, right? Radically, yes. Some say that, like, Ukrainians, you are ruining everything for us. You are making us get off our butts. And you are increasing competition in this kind of hospitality. But normal, reasonable Poles say that, wow, cool, great, let's go, let's act, and so on. Because Poland is still mentally, it is closer, in my opinion, to capitalism, like America, than to such socialism, which is like unconditional Germany. So here, after all, there is still a chance. There is still a chance, and here, there is an excellent middle-class elite, yes, because it is the middle class that is called the elite. Interesting. Yes, not the elite. The elite is like, we have associations that if it's the elite, then it's some billionaires who are cutting banks, yes. But in general, in literary terms, the middle class was considered the elite. And here, there is a good middle class, but at the same time, open competition and motivation for Poles to also work and earn more.
Another question you touched on, Poles, what they say about Ukrainians. How are Ukrainians treated in Warsaw and foreigners in general? Is it different from what is in Krakow or not?
I was told about cases that happened both across Poland and there in Warsaw, of course, and in Poland. Like, you get into a taxi, you're the driver, you pick up someone, some Pole, and some drunk Pole hears that you're Ukrainian or Belarusian and says, oh, you're like finished, get out of here, and so on. Personally, I've never encountered this, and most likely I probably won't. But that's what I was told. I don't want to incite panic and say that it's widespread. As I said, personally, I haven't felt anything, no bias. There's just a feeling that it's a bit of a transient place here. And like, you know, they're a bit indifferent. Everyone. That is a huge number of people. And they're, well, kind of...
Sometimes not even a hello or goodbye, unlike in Krakow, where it's like a big village, everyone knows each other. Everyone is curious about how much you earn, and when a Ukrainian arrives in a fancy car, the locals, who pay a lot of taxes, understandably see this and get nervous. When locals in Warsaw, they arrive in such cars and earn so much that they simply don't care about Ukrainian BMWs and Lamborghinis and so on, because they have so much money themselves. Yes, they just don't notice it.
Yes, well, we're filming a video right now, and behind you is the Deloitte building with its logo. It's a huge building. I don't know, there are probably 50 floors for sure. If there are 17 floors here, then possibly 50, 70 floors. Well, you understand who works there, right? Clearly not programmers for $10 an hour. So yes, there's more money, and the Poles have it too. And that's why we're all kind of blending in a bit with our money too.
Okay, and in conclusion, tell me...
What is strength?
Yeah, what is strength, brother? To whom do you think, to whom is it suitable? If an entrepreneur is now faced with the choice of where to settle or where to relocate, perhaps he wants some changes in life. Who is more suited for Krakow and similar towns? Yes, and who definitely for the capital?
The capital is suitable for those who Ideally, yes, the ideal profile is for those who have previously lived in the capital or in a big city. Because if you have lived before in some small town in your country, then well, it will be hard to get used to certain aspects, especially the reduction of distance and everything else.
The pace will just kill you, right?
Yes, both the pace and everything else. You see, a big city forces you to take your budget much more seriously, and your time and your energy. So 3 things: budget, time, and energy. Planning a budget, managing a budget, and so on. And this is all about the big city. The margin for error is large. Maybe if you're renting an apartment, you might not have enough money to pay for it. Time. If you want to be efficient, you want to keep up with business, spend time with family, and, for example, learn English, then you already need to plan, because not everything is in one place. Big city, distance, you spend time on logistics. And energy, people can drain your energy, unnecessary projects drain energy, silly actions drain energy, Instagram drains energy. So the big city forces you to approach all of this more systematically. In short, it toughens you up. Big city, big opportunities, many spaces, warehouses, partnerships, money, locations, streets, cars, millions of these Priuses just driving around, and like every third person rents out these Priuses. I have an acquaintance there who has already bought 5 or 7 of them, rents them out, bought them for himself, and gives them into trust management. And he earns a little money from it. Yes, it's not much, yes, it's not the main thing, but sorry, he has some of his own there, conditionally. He passively earns 5,000 zlotys a month. Cool, I mean, he's there and at the same time he works a regular job, right? These are the kinds of setups about a big city. About a small town, well, first, either you're already tired of the big city, or you understand that your business and your lifestyle, well, kind of don't need new opportunities, new people, the environment, and everything else. You kind of already have a family, maybe. Yes, some community, well, which is enough for you. Then it's definitely a small town. A small town is about that. And for those who, time is definitely highly valued there, for those who definitely work from home, so they don't have to go anywhere, even in a big city.
It's important probably now, but overall the feeling is different there in a small town. Calmness, safety, a family hearth.
Yes, let's comment on the safety aspect, as I had this thought. For example, Nastya was taking a taxi in a small town. For the first time, I had thoughts about setting up a tracker to see where the person is going directly, and so on. In a small town, well, maybe I'm used to Krakow for 9 years, like a person there, at most, takes a taxi for 15 minutes.
Maybe, or maybe because the taxi drivers here are really aggressive and the roads are more complicated.
They cut you off, they clear the lanes. Yes. Well, that's my first feedback, my first impression of fully living here. Where? I've been living for a week now, so it's not that long. So this is the freshest review of life for a week that we've recorded with you. Yes? Super. Thank you. Thank you. Friends, thank you for watching this video. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel below the video. You will find all the contacts of our hero and his product, if you need a service, and in general about him, including his Instagram. Write your questions in the comments, what else you are interested in knowing, and have a successful business in Poland. If you need help with company registration, opening a sole proprietorship and accounting, also write to us. All links are in the description. Hits!